Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again. I'm Nicodemus Kane. Today is July the 1st of 2022. Today is my grandmother's birthday, and we totally forgot to get her anything. I'll get her card. It'll be late, I guess. Um, if we're even supposed to celebrate birthdays, we've talked about this before, but she is 85. Is that right? 40, 60, 85. Yes. 85 today. Sadly, she is losing her mental facilities. The last couple times I went to see her, she didn't even know who I was. I mean, if she does know who I am, she does not show it. Maybe it's, maybe she just thinks I'm a stranger and she's trying to have that kind of familiarity with, someone she thinks she knows, but she, uh, she doesn't talk to me like she used to. She doesn't interact with me like we used to, like how we used to have conversations, and she would ask me how I was doing, and she would ask me about my wife, or ask me about my house, or ask me about my job. She used to always ask me about my job. She used to always ask me how work was going. And then she'd ask me the silly questions like how many women are working there, or who do I know there? Do I have any friends? Am I hanging out with people from? She always asks me about work, but she just doesn't. She hasn't done that. So I seriously think she doesn't know who I am. It's sad. So I'm definitely gonna have to get her something, even though again I don't. I don't. I don't think she'll know who it's from. Well, but that's today. It's July 1st. You are 3 days away from supposed Independence Day. I am starting to say now that this is probably some kind of ritualistic celebration of the sun going away. Um, because we just had our July solstice. So the sun is now officially going away until December. So I have a feeling that part of their rituals is that they host a gigantic party to light up the sky in order to try to bring the sun back. Now, I'm not joking on this. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure these people are. This tracks, man. Just everything else, every other holiday that we have, it's just a joke. And I have a feeling it's just one more thing. The whole concept could have been faked in order to get us to celebrate the sun as it goes away. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that it tracks. It just the whole thing tracks. I'm not saying it's true, but if you put those pieces together, this is a celebration of the sun as it starts to go away. They host a wild celebration party so that the sun will come back to them because they like the sun being back. That's, I don't think it has anything to do with independence. I've already said I don't think that we had any independence to begin with. I think that the supposed revolution was actually a takeover, but that's neither here nor there. It's interesting. Before we get into the verses today, before we get into the what are we Isaiah chapter 8, before we get into this, I was thinking the other day. Somebody was going through paintings images that we've had of the fathers, the forefathers, everything that happened in the 1700s. And I know a lot of paintings were done after the fact, but there were a lot of paintings that were done at the time. And there were character sketches and paintings that were done after that time. And I was finding it interesting that all of the paintings that were done around the 1770s, 1750 to 1790, let's just say, all of those paintings that were done that depicted the revolution, that depicted the signing of the Constitution, that depicts the presidents, the people that we consider presidents, all those guys, those paintings look better than what we saw after, or other paintings that we saw around that time. Now, when you really look at, I'm sure, okay, yes, they probably had one or two artists that were just absolutely incredible, amazing, and they probably had them paint, everything, or they tried to. So, okay, sure, I could buy that. But everything else around that time period that didn't have to do with the revolution, didn't have to do with, signing of the Constitution, didn't have to do with the presidents, all those paintings kind of looked off. They looked different. They looked less than. And when you go into the 1800s, the early 1800s, some of the paintings they had before photography was invented. And we have no idea when photography was invented. They can say, mid 1800s. I'm gonna say maybe earlier, maybe later. Who knows? If it was even there at all. If it was there like the whole time, and they just, anyways. Well, that's a whole nother concept. But the paintings that came a little bit afterwards, they weren't exactly the best either. Some of those just didn't live up to what they had before. Now, follow me along with this. This doesn't have to be true, and I'm just speculating. This is just something that came up. This is just me trying to speculate that maybe the story they told us wasn't real, and they kind of invented this stuff way after the fact. Because what we saw with Washington on the boat, and the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and the what was the other one, the big one, just a lot of it, a lot of those paintings, a lot of the paintings of the president, a lot of different things, they looked really clean and modern. And a lot of the stuff that we saw from other people back in the 1700s looked less than that. Again, there's one or two guys that were probably amazing, beyond amazing. They could really, really do it. If you actually believe in your history, Da Vinci was off the hook, and Da Vinci was, a couple hundred years earlier than that. If you believe your history. For all I know, Da Vinci could have been a fake, and then everything that, we know about him could have been the same artist that did all the other stuff. You just don't know. You don't know. So, what if, and this is just a what if, this doesn't have to be the way it is, what if we were told it's a revolution, but it wasn't a revolution, it was a takeover? They just let us keep all of the same rules and make us think that, or let us think that we're free, so that we could be easier to control. And then they made up this revolution so that they had a way to sell it to us better. Because you remember, I still believe that there is a short season of Satan. A season is a quarter of a year. All right? One day to God is as 1,000 years. Now, we may or may not be in that, 6,000, 7,000 year reign. We don't know. A lot of people say that. The Bible doesn't exactly say that. It alludes to it, but it doesn't mean it's true. Whether it's true or not, I can't say for sure. It seems like it is, but then again, a lot of things in this realm seem like they are. So a quarter of a year, let's just go up to 1,000 years. A quarter of 1,000 years is 250 years. With America, I don't even. Are we even 250 years old yet? Are we even at that point? I think I did this before. I think I did these calculations before. 250. No, wait. Let's try this one. And that 2022 minus 250 is 1772. So we have until 2026. 2026. Why does that sound so familiar? Of course, the 26 we see everywhere. The 66 is just everywhere, and it is crazy. Is it 2024? Is whenever the next eclipse is? The great one, the other crossing, April 8th, 2024. Oh my. So that's coming up. That's 2 years. 2 years. So what's 2026? Interesting. Let's see what Google gives us. Are we in the year 2026? Really? Really? Kind of looking just at, I mean, a lot of people are saying that a lot of religious people that I've heard are saying that it's possible that all of this ends in 2028. You know, all of the numbers seem to line up to 2028. And I've looked into it. It's interesting. Excuse me. It's interesting that you know, it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible, but I don't know. I can't say for certain. We know that the agendas are all ending in 2030. We know that 2023, which is just next year, guys, the 223 is that's their big year. If you thought that everything was going to fall apart in 2022, just wait until 2023. They're planning all the fun stuff for next year, I'm sure. I think we're going to see some interesting things. They're going to see some interesting things. I can tell you that. But yeah, uh, you have all this stuff happening like super quick, all together. Of course, Revelation says, had time not been shortened, there would be no saints left. There would be nobody left. God had to make this happen quick. Because if he would have dragged this out, people would have really been hurt. Is it possible we're in the end? I don't know. I've said the elites of this world are doing their best to make it look like it is. And we still have not seen very specific things happen yet. So I don't know. I really don't know. I really can't tell. What I can tell you is, and a lot of people have done this way better than me, because I don't really have the time to be able to sit down and, some guys, I listened to a guy yesterday that was on his gematria kick, and he was on it. I mean, he was just popping it off one after another after another. And that is not where my studies have gone. But some people can do that. Some people can know this means this, that means that. This number goes here, that goes there. That way you can tell that this goes, all of that. I have this very low level base understanding of a lot of things. And one of the things that, again, something that I've said that I haven't heard anybody else say, so I can't tell if it's completely true or not, is the short season of Satan. Now, again, the short season of Satan comes after the 1,000-year reign of Christ, which means that Christ would have had to have come back in 72 AD or whatever it was in order to clean things up, and everything was great for 1,000 years. Then they lie and call it the Dark Ages. They changed the calendars in order to make us think that it's at the end of the 6,000 years, but it's not, so that they can have all of their evil for their last 250 years to turn as many people as possible in order to get as many souls as they can. I mean, it's a desperate move. And if you really, really look at it, if you really, really think about it, there was a point in this world where it seemed like everything was going all right. They do their best to tell you, no, everything was worse back in the day. But when you really look at it, when you really kind of go back and see what was going on, you can kind of tell things were a little bit better. Things were definitely more advanced. There was more understanding. Not only did they have the understanding of things that we couldn't even contemplate, but it seems like before whatever the catastrophe was, whatever the reset was, these people had beautiful architecture, beautiful structures, this way of living. There are stories of entire societies that were living in peace and harmony, and everybody was separated off in their own little corners, and everybody was happy, and nobody really was getting hurt or injured or anything. And then suddenly out of the blue, the stories start changing. It becomes, there was this great war that, these airships and these nuclear warheads and all this stuff, or there were these diaries that have been found where they talk about these natural disasters, unnatural disasters, and they talk about the skies opening up and things, earthquakes and floods, and something caused 30 it's almost like 30 to 50 feet, which is insane. 30 to 50 feet of mud and sand to cover everything. And it seems like somewhere along the line, within the past 200 years, 250, give or take, we've been digging ourselves out of a catastrophe. But they don't call it a catastrophe. They call it the Dark Ages. They want to tell us that nothing interesting happened over the past 2,000 years. and that we have slowly but surely been dragging ourselves out of that. The clothes didn't change, the technology didn't change, the ideologies didn't change, the religions didn't change. Nothing changed for over 2,000 years. I call bullshit. I call heavy, massive amounts of bullshit at this point, because we have seen dramatic changes just within the past 100 years. And I don't think that's just because of technology. I think humans, when they are left to have open air, they can come up with this stuff. And I think a lot of that was, taking what people may have had back in the past and turning it into something modern. I don't think humans will just sit and stagnate in one place for hundreds and hundreds of years. The historians and the archaeologists will tell you otherwise. I don't buy that. I think humans will move around. Humans will explore. They will come up with new concepts constantly. This is a problem that I've had since I was a kid. The biggest problem I had since I was a kid was we've seen clothes, fashion. We've seen fashion change 1,000 times just within the past 50 years. And you're going to tell me these people were wearing waistcoats and these pants and shoes and all this other kind of stuff for 200, 300 years? They never once changed their fashion at all. I don't buy that. I've never bought that. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me. Yes, I get it that you could have kingdoms that will oppress their people so much so that their people will not have anything good to wear besides sackcloth for, maybe 100 years. But people will adapt. People will adapt to try something different. They will come up with new things. And eventually those things will catch on. I don't think humans are just going to sit on their hands and do nothing. I've been talking to this about 23 minutes. We may not even read the verse today. I'm still talking about this stuff, so let's follow this while I'm on it. So I don't believe in any way, shape, or form that man just sat there and did nothing. I do believe that there was change. There was change for, over the 1,000 years that happened. I mean, if it was 2,000 years, it was 2,000 years. But if you're doubling that amount of time, we should be seeing a lot more things change. I don't know. It's so hard. It's so hard to understand. It's a hard concept to grasp, especially for all of us that have grown up in the system where we've been told over and over again, you have only been alive, or your history has only been alive for your history, your modern history, is only 200 years old. Your past history has only been here for about 2,000 years. And there are so many gaps within that 2,000 years that we don't know what happened. That's why we call it the Dark Ages, because something happened there, but we can't figure it out. Your ancient history is anywhere from 2000, 3000 BC, where we magically know everything that the Sumerians did. We magically know everything that the Egyptians did. We magically know everything that, the Phoenicians, all these cultures, we somehow magically are able to know. But your ancient history stretches from 2000 BC all the way back to like 10,000 BC. And we know it's 10,000 BC because we say it's 10,000 BC. You should look into carbon dating. It's interesting stuff. When you start getting into how carbon dating actually works, and how they say that anything back to like 10,000 BC is dated. So we don't know anything, really. It's another one of those reasons that I had to start from a blank slate, because everything we are told is a lie. And I think part of that lie is to make us believe that we are in a 6,000 year reign. Could it be true? It's possible it could be true. But I think more of what is happening is the evil men of this world make us think otherwise, so that we will believe the end times are coming, so that we will fall for deception easier. Because if you believe that the world is ending, you will be looking for any God that will save you. And lo and behold, they have a very easy God. They're starting to mix religions right now. They're starting to say all of these religions believe in the same God. That you can be Buddhist, Muslim, Hindu, Jewish, Christian. It's all the same God. They've been pushing that on you for a long time. I've known for a long time that it's not all the same God. I fell into it a couple times, yes, but I've known that no, it's not the same God. I read the Bible whenever I was a teenager, and the Bible says your God's not like my God. So I always had it in the back of my head that, everybody supposedly believes in the same God, except for those guys over there, those Bible believing, the true Bible believing Christians. They don't believe in this. They believe in something else, So it's not everybody believing in the same creator and, we're all in peace and happiness. No, it's everybody's believing in the same concept. But all these people over here that are actually reading their Bibles and living by faith and understanding, they're following God, the true God, the one true Most High, Yahuwah. Yeah, So, if you were told over and over again, the world is ending, Revelation says this, Revelation says that. Oh, wait, look, there's Nostradamus. Nostradamus says that, such and such is supposed to happen here. If they say that, all these things are falling apart, and if they make it look, if they find the Antichrist kind of like figure, the abomination, I didn't say abomination, I said abomination. If they have all of these things that look like they match up perfectly, people will want to find a savior. They will want to find a God. Does that mean that the end times are here and that it's following along with God's end times? Yes, absolutely. This could be the great deception. At the same time, this could be the falling away. Again, there are things that are supposed to happen before all of this that will lead to what happens after. If we've seen that, if that stuff has happened, we have not seen it, and they've covered it up. Remember, Satan doesn't play fair. He's doing his absolute best to hide everything from us. I would not doubt at all that he would hide, two witnesses. That he would hide the true nation of Jerusalem, coming back together and having peace for all eternity. I don't doubt that they would hide that. So we don't know. It's something that you have to ask for discernment. This is just, as I've been going in this walk, in this journey, the more I keep seeing everybody say, this is the end times, this is it, this is how it's falling apart, the more I go back to the Bible and I look at it and it says, yeah, but what about this? What about that? And again, if it's that, if it's those little things that are supposed to happen, maybe they've already happened and we just haven't seen it. Or maybe we do have time. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. What I do know is that they will do their best to trick people into thinking that they need to follow a false god. And I have a feeling that's what's happening. I have a feeling that people are just being tricked into following a false god, so that you will find that, you will get that falling away, you will get that pulling back. I don't know. I don't know the best way to describe it, because I am not the best end times scholar. I can listen to Revelations, I can read Revelations, I've read Revelations before, and it's not all in Revelations. The things that will happen. There are other things that will happen in other books. Isaiah is one of them. We talked about Isaiah. It says, in the end, yada, yada, yada. Christ says, in the end, yada, yada, yada. Daniel says, in the end, yada, yada, yada. What else was there? Even the books of John. I think even Ezekiel said it. Jeremiah said. I was listening to something the other day. They were talking about prophecy stuff. Maybe that's where I'm being pointed to. I don't know. I'm not the best prophecy, end times guy. What I do see though is just deception. Deception on top of deception. They have no reason at all to tell us the truth, ever, anywhere, ever. And at the same time, all of these things are coming together that make it look like it is what it is. And it could be. It very well could be. I'm not trying to lead anybody astray. What I'm trying to do is to get people to understand they need to use the utmost discernment before these things happen. Don't be tricked. Don't be fooled. Don't go through the door that has a pyramid over top of it. Don't go into don't go into that place that asks you to check for your mark, or know enough gematria to understand when something equals out to 666, or it equals to 33, or it equals to 223 or 322, or equals to any. Don't trust it. It's about discernment on this one, man. Just need discernment. It's a lot. It's a lot. And again, the more it's the old song, the more I see, the less I believe. The less I can really understand. So, I spent a video 30 minutes just talking about this kind of stuff. It's crazy. Didn't even get to read Isaiah, but that's all right. We don't need to. I can get to it. I can get to it later. See, look, I just flipped a couple pages. I flipped a decent amount in there, but you're talking about Ezekiel. Just flip to like Ezekiel 38 and 39, and it's talking about prophecies. Talk about the prophecy against the Gog and Magog, and all the prophecies. Christ talked about prophecies. It is it's like I said, it may not be there. It may not be as they say. If it is truly the end times, we will definitely know. We will definitely know and definitely understand. And supposedly, if you listen to some people, supposedly, if we are in a very specific time of the end times, we should have already seen the saints flee to the mountains. That should have already happened by now. We should have seen the abomination of desolation enter into the temple. Maybe we did. Maybe we did and we didn't know it. Who knows? Obama had his inauguration inside of the replica of the Temple of Pergamon, which is the seat of Satan. Maybe. I was just listening to it yesterday. It was some video, man. I don't know where it came from. It was on BitChute. They were talking about Obama as the Antichrist, and I went through a million of those, and I'm not the kind of guy to do the whole end times prophet thing, because I still, the more signs I see that, again, the more signs I see that it looks like it could be the end, the more signs I see that it looks like it's just more deception. It looks like it's just the evil men of this world just trying to convince us that the end is now, but it really isn't. But yeah, they were talking about the same stuff about him being a clone of Akhenaten, and just all of it. And I'm just like, it's possible. You still gotta look for the mortal head wound. I mean, you want to talk about some craziness about a mortal head wound? Kennedy, John F. Kennedy. If somewhere along the line, because the Antichrist is going to be somebody we don't see coming. It's not. I don't think it's going to be somebody that's just going to be like, oh, hey, there he is, right there. No, I think it's going to be somebody that we just don't see coming. Who has the most infamous head wound ever? A man who came, who everybody liked, who everybody followed after, who all the world followed after, who the entire world knew suffered a mortal head wound, and who would be the one that would be the most amazing if he just popped back up out of nowhere. I mean, he'd be old as dirt. I'm not gonna lie, the man would be old as old. But think about it for a second, you know? Just, I think there's more to it than that. I really do. I don't know. I still say it might have something to do with the losing of an eye, because there's still this, this one eye symbolism, and you still have the stories of, it was Nimrod, but it was also Og, that both of them lost an eye. You have the stories of the Cyclops. Just because he has one eye doesn't mean he was born with it. Makes you think. But both of them, both Nimrod and Og, both have tales of them losing an eye somewhere along the line. God, what was it? One of the stories said that their name actually meant the one-eyed giant or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. And that was part of the mythology. That's been a long minute since I've studied any of that stuff or listened to any of that stuff. Actually studied, because I was reading all those stories, man. That was heavy stuff. I might see if I can find that again. Some of those stories are crazy, though. You really read into that, and you hear about, the giant with the one eye got his eye plucked out. I don't remember exactly how. You hear the story of there's a story of either Gilgamesh or Hercules, one of the two, where they talk about going to an island and plucking out the eye of a cyclops. There was another one. Can't remember what it was. They were talking about he was old and weary, living up in the mountains or something. Maybe. I might be putting two things together here, but there was I could swear there was one about it was a giant that had his eye plucked out. He was old and weary, living in the mountains, was tired of being around people, had wealth and understanding and knowledge, and somebody went up to talk to him. And when they found out who he was, they killed him. I can't remember what story that was. But it turned out that he was one of the mighty men of old. One of those old people that, one of those old kings or whatever that had somehow fled all of this stuff, all the stuff that happened to him, had taken all of his riches to go hide in the mountains. And something like that. I cannot remember what it was. But then you take that stuff and you put it together with Odin. Odin lost an eye. He was a god figure, a giant god figure that lived without an eye. There have been several others that were like that. It just makes you think. And then you talk about the one eye symbolism. You talk about the black eyes, whenever the elites have to have their humiliation rituals where they get hit in the eye. You talk about all the sellouts, all of the media sellouts, the the movie and music sellouts where they cover one eye, where they, you know, or they put the 666 symbol above, above one eye. There's something to that. That's something interesting to look into. So I don't know. Then you have Christ that will straight up sit there and tell you if your right eye is light, then your soul will be lighter. Something similar to that. He knew. He knew, just like everybody else. But that's stuff we don't know because they hid it from us. Because it's all been hidden from us. Because they've had hundreds of years to be able to hide this stuff from us. Some kind of major catastrophe happened. And unfortunately, the bad guys were the ones that were left over. It was either that or it was the bad guys that caused it. Who knows? I'm going to stop so I can start getting ready for work. It's the Friday. It's the Friday before the holiday. I'm taking the whole week off next week. Did I mention that? The whole week. So you'll definitely get some recording in. I'm definitely going to do some recording. Because that way I don't have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to come in here and record. So I'm definitely going to come in here and record. You're going to get me. You're going to get me all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Hopefully I'll be in a talking spirit. But, yeah, no, I was talking to my supervisor. And we were talking about the mistakes I've been making at work. And I said, I've just been, it's not really been a distraction, but I have definitely been tired and just stretched really, really thin. And she said, well, maybe you just need to take some time off, use some PTO, whatever. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll do that sometime. I'll figure something out. And she must have went to my lead supervisor because my lead supervisor sent me an email saying, you have X amount of PTO left. You should start using this before the end of the month, at the end of the year. And I'm like, this always happens. It never fails. It always happens. As soon as I start telling anybody that I'm frazzled and I just need to take a break, somebody else will come up and say, hey, look, you have, however many hours of PTO you need to use. And I'm like, well, there's your sign. And it wasn't even just that. It was talking to Angie, talking to my wife about, taking some time off, just catching a breather. Because it just seems I've been going day after day after day, and my quality of work has just been getting worse and worse and worse. And just been wanting to just take a break and do stuff around the house. Just do stuff where I could actually get away from this computer for a while. And it's all coming to a head. So now it's like, I put it in, I wasn't even planning on really getting it. I was just kind of like, yeah, like I'm really going to be able to get the whole week. So they gave it to me. I got the whole week. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Hopefully I can get a lot done. We'll see. I will definitely be recording, though. I will try to record once every day. Definitely get some yard work done. There's a lot of trees I want to trim. We bought into a jungle. I don't think I said that. I already said that we bought into a bad basement, I already said that, but we also bought into a jungle. The previous owners, man, they kept plants. Ugh. They kept they kept warm season plants, ferns, and these really tall, crazy looking. But it's like it feels like a jungle when you go outside, and I we need to get rid of it because it's just too much. It's too much. We have too many insects out here, so they need to be all trimmed. And I just haven't had the time or haven't had the energy. So now I got time and energy. I'm sleeping in. All right. I'm going to let you guys go. God bless every one of you. Take care of yourselves. Sometimes you get to talking. You just need to talk. Maybe it just wasn't my day to. Maybe it just wasn't my day to read anything. I don't know. All right, I shall talk to y'all later. Again, the same thing I said for yesterday. If if there are any thoughts and prayers, we could definitely use some healing and some fights with the spiritual warfare. We're still getting attacked, but we could still use just prayers. All right. I shall talk to you all later.